Hi, everybody. Good morning from Dublin. I'm Graham Mulhern. I run a company, a cybersecurity provider and provisioning, servicing, all of that sort of thing. We're called Be Secure Online. Delighted this morning to welcome so many of you. Thank you for all attending. This is being recorded. You will be aware of that, and it will be posted on our website, and we'll be sending cloud links to you later on. I don't know if you can all see on your screen, but I think you probably can. We have Neil Sinclair with us from the London Metropolitan Police and GCHQ, a cybersecurity officer and counterterrorism for the last 30 years. Neil's the one there in the white polo necked and waving. We have two very important partner managers from Hornet Security, one of the world's leading email security providers. Thousands of customers, millions of users, tens of millions of email inboxes protected, utterly professional, 25 years in existence, and German to boot, so you know it works. So I'm delighted to welcome my co-hosts. They're going to do most of the talking. I did the arranging, they're going to do the talking. We're running very skinny this morning. We're not doing as many backdrops as normal. It's the first outing for this new webinar version, to me anyway, of Zoom. I've been using Zoom for business for years, but this is so much more capable. So we have a very skinny presentation in terms of flashy tech, but it is being recorded. And without need to go on any further, again, thank you for attending. And up next, and I'll just very quickly, Neil is going to talk now in the agenda order, followed then, I think, by Stephen and Michelle. Michelle Hewitt, who is the Senior Partner Manager at Hornet Security, and Stephen Simons, who is the Head of Partners. That's people like me in Hornet Security. They will be talking after Neil. Neil's going to talk to the geopolitical side of it. And already I was watching on YouTube last night, the Pakistani election was riven with internet difficulties and all sorts of cyber evasions over the last few weeks. And Imran Khan, the great cricketer, is struggling to get back into power. But there's so much of this naughtiness going on around the world that it just continues to jeopardize and make life considerably more busy and difficult and much more tricky to navigate. So with that, for help with the navigation, for help with understanding the sort of global and the political and the cyber difficulties that face us, I'll hand over now to Neil Sinclair, who will take us through all of that. Good morning, Neil. Thank you.
Good morning, Graham.
Graham, sorry, Neil, could I just jump in a second? One of the attendees actually popped a question in the Q&A box. So I think it's probably a good opportunity to just let people know that if they have any questions, they can ask away there. And if we don't cover them during the presentation, we'll try and answer those questions at the end. And actually, the question was the one that they were saying that they could only see you, Graham, while you were talking. But I think that's because it only shows that person on the screen. So hopefully
that's right.
They'll be able to see me now, or they'll be able to see Neil. So I'll shut up and let Neil carry on.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, yes, good morning. And I think, Andrew Walker has said it's all good now. That's lovely. Thank you. Thank you, Graham, for the introduction. As Graham mentioned, I was formerly the financial intelligence lead for a UK government agency and the national cyber lead for the Police Digital Security Centre. So this morning I'm going to give us a brief look at the current threats to the digital landscape, and I'm sure that our friends from Hornet Security will pick up on these in the ensuing presentation. The first statement that I have to make is that, notwithstanding whatever follows, the greatest threat to our cybersecurity and that of the networks on which we operate, social engineering and human error remain the single most significant attack surface. Exacerbated by the pure volume of attacks, this can be attributed to the lack of regular reinforcement of the cyber awareness message and a disconnect between the IT team and the user. Indeed, a recent survey suggests that 47% of employees are not aware what security the IT team is responsible for. And that's even if they're aware that their business has an IT team. So 2024 is particularly notable, as Graham already alluded to, for the many elections, with 7 of the world's 10 most populous nations going to the polls. Countries that are home to nearly half of the world's people will be holding elections in the coming year, with the US, the European Union, and the Russian Federation as the most prominent mentions. It's expected that risks like voting system security, misinformation, data protection, infrastructure attacks, foreign interference, and phishing frauds will be exploited by rogue activists or even state-sponsored cyber criminals. A substantial portion of the world's military is already mobilized to face current threats, as I'm sure we're all aware. This will also increase the focus of state-sponsored cybercrime and lead to a heightened level of cyber threats and the targeting of critical systems. Alongside that, the global economy is marked by slow growth trend, with the IMF projecting a decrease in the global growth of 2.9%. So this slowdown is more significant in advanced economies compared to the emerging markets, and challenges such as regional economic divergences and potential disruptions in global trade, particularly in commodities, continues to pose risks to the economic stability. So amongst all this, cybersecurity is a major concern, with cyber incidents ranked as the top global risk. It's expected that advanced threats like sophisticated ransomware attacks, data breaches, and assaults on critical infrastructure will shape the economic domain in 2024. Supply chain vulnerabilities remain a significant issue, with many organizations lacking a comprehensive understanding of their cyber risks. Small and mid-sized businesses are particularly vulnerable due to their often limited cybersecurity resources. I will emphasize that email is still the most exploited attack vector. We should anticipate emails about voting options, not least keeping us away from the voting booths, financial investments, and government options for benefits, taxes, passports, and visas, and of course, healthcare and education. The other popular subject for the criminals is green alternatives. State actors are now considered to be the greatest threat, with nations leveraging cyber operations for political, economic, and military advantages. Cyber criminals continue to profit from advancements in tactics, techniques, and procedures, and find opportunities to launch sophisticated attacks like advanced ransomware, supply chain attacks, and highly personalized phishing campaigns targeting critical state and commercial infrastructure. So a quick look at the state actors that we're most likely to see during 2024. First, on top of the list, the Russian-based actor Star Blizzard, formerly known as Seaborgium, also known as Callisto Group, Cold Driver, and Blue Charlie, continues to successfully use spear phishing attacks against targeted organizations and individuals in the UK and other geographical areas of interest for information gathering activity. Star Blizzard uses webmail addresses from different providers, including Outlook, Gmail, Yahoo, and ProtonMail in their initial approach, impersonating known contacts of the target or well-known names in the target's field of interest or sector. Star Blizzard has predominantly sent spear phishing emails to targets' personal email addresses, although they have also used targets' corporate or business email addresses. The actors may intentionally use personal emails to circumvent the security controls in place on the corporate networks. APT28, APT29, known for attacks against government, diplomatic, media, healthcare, energy, political organizations, especially conflicting with Russian interests. Unit 61398, this group is linked to the Chinese People's Liberation Army, the PLA, and is known for conducting cyber espionage, and the potential benefits gained from interfering with the 2024 elections make it likely that this group could be active throughout the year. Another one you probably have heard of is the Lazarus Group, a North Korean state-sponsored group responsible for high-profile attacks like the Sony Pictures hack and the WannaCry ransomware of several years ago. Alongside them, APT33, believed to be associated with Iran, targeting the aerospace, energy, and petrochemical sectors, and APT35, believed again to be linked to Iran and known for social engineering tactics targeting government officials, journalists, and academics. So that's pretty much covered everybody, I think. During the recent Bletchley AI Safety Summit in November 2023, international leaders came together to discuss the vast potential of AI models in promoting economic growth, propelling scientific advances, and providing a wide range of public benefits. They also underscored the security risks that could arise from the irresponsible development and use of AI technologies. The UK government is evaluating and addressing these potential threats and the risks associated with artificial intelligence. The National Cybersecurity Centre, based in the UK, has determined that the threat to 2025, so that's up until 2025, comes from evolution and enhancement of existing tactics, techniques and procedures, TTPs as they're known. All types of cyber threat actor, state and non-state, skilled and less skilled, are already using AI to varying degrees. AI clearly provides a capability uplift in reconnaissance and social engineering, almost certainly making both more effective, efficient, and harder to detect. And AI lowers the barrier for novice cyber criminals, of course, hackers for hire, activists, to carry out effective access and information gathering operations. This enhanced access will likely contribute to the global ransomware threat over the next 2 years. Moving towards 2025 and beyond, commoditization of AI-enabled capability in criminal and commercial markets will almost certainly make improved capability available to cybercrime and state actors. A significant threat due to its ability to adapt and evade detection makes AI-driven malware capable of executing more sophisticated and targeted cyber attacks. A key aspect of most recent ransomware is that it will attack the backup storage before declaring itself on the main network. It utilizes a tradecraft known as living off the land, with malicious activity blending in with legitimate system and network behavior, making it difficult to differentiate, even by organizations with more mature security postures. From a social engineering viewpoint, we should be aware that both state actors and serious organized crime groups are continuously trawling social media, and in particular, business-related platforms to find specific details for launching spear phishing attacks. You'll all have read, I'm sure, about the recent $20 million transfer that an AI-supported attack elicited in the financial sector last week. So having heard what I've got to say and what's to come, have the conversation with your children this evening. It may well encourage them to put down the smartphones. And also ask your children what they understand by doxing. You may well find that your own child is already doing it, scraping the internet to find personal data that can be used for a directed attack on internet users. Do be aware that the attacks are not just email-borne, but could utilize phone calls, videos, Zoom calls, etc., text messaging, and QR codes to reel you in. That's it from me for an update for 2024. Thanks for listening. And if there are any questions, I think we could probably take those now, but I'll hand back to Graham for the next stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Neil. Absolutely fantastic. I don't quite know who's up between Stephen and Michelle, so I'll ask them openly so I can introduce. But thank you for that, Neil. And questions will be later rather than right now. So we'll do a Q&A later.
We're going to take this together, Graham, actually. So me and Stephen like to do a bit of a tag team. So we'll do that and see how we go with regard to that. I just want to, there was a question that was posted in from Jude with regard to obviously doing some testing. We'll come to that at the end of the presentation, but we have a nice little offer for you guys if you do want to test our software, but we'll get to that a bit later on.
I was just going to jump in and say, actually, Michelle, isn't it nice to see that somebody's already asking about testing the services?
Yes, it is.
Exactly
yes,
what
it
I
is.
want.
Absolutely.
Okay,
perfect.
Hopefully you can see my screen.
Yep.
Cool. So I guess over to you, Michelle, for the first few slides.
Yeah, so I'm going to introduce myself. So I'm Michelle Hewitt, and I'm a partner account manager looking after specific territories for Hornet Security. And one of those territories is actually the Irish market. So I'm sort of getting familiar with what's happening within Ireland. And obviously, Graham has signed up as one of our partners. So we're obviously here to support him in obviously promoting services and how our services can help you moving forward. I'm just going to let Stephen introduce himself as well.
Yeah, so I'm Stephen Simons. I've been at Hornet Security now for 8 years, and I head up the partner account management team. And we were really keen to jump on this today with Graham because I guess Michelle and I are quite skilled actually in explaining our services in a non-technical way, which is often extremely useful to end users who are utilizing our services. So yeah, I think hopefully the content that we go through today will be interesting, and we'll explain it so that everybody can understand.
Okay, if we can go to the next slide then. We've done that. That's an awful picture, but there we go. Okay, so we always like to start our webinars with our sort of global map. And we do this to show you that, I guess, the reach of Hornet Security and the presence that we have in, obviously, globally. I'll note on there, I'm actually based in, you can see a little office there in Malta. I'm actually based over in Malta, which was originally the backup side of the company, Altaro, which we'll definitely come to on the next slide. But I guess it's important to note here that, you know, we've got offices within Europe. We have a presence in South America and Northern America as well, and obviously data centers to boot as well. So it's a real sort of global presence, and this is growing as well. Anything you want to add, Stephen?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. It kind of, although perhaps people may not have heard of Hornet Security before, that we do have global presence. We're kind of in, you know, all over the world. We've got a big team working across in all of our offices, and obviously lots of data centers too. So should anything go wrong, we've got fallbacks and everything's covered.
Okay, so this is a nice slide to show as well, and Stephen will probably talk in more detail than me. I obviously like to mention that obviously the company was started back in 2007, and you can see sort of major things that have happened along the way there with product releases and also acquisitions. As I stated earlier, I came in with the acquisition of Altaro, which provides the backup software of the company. So that's backup for VMs and for 365 as well. And then one of our latest acquisitions was that of IT Seal, who are our security awareness service provider, which has helped, I guess, give us a whole range of products that can cover kind of every aspect that you need with regards to that.
Yeah, so just to jump in, I guess what I really like about this slide actually, and it ties in with what Neil started with. He was talking about like what stood out to me was he was talking about different threats that have come out over the years and how they've become more and more sophisticated. And because I've been with the company a long while now, I mean, Michelle mentioned, and you can see there that we started off back in 2007, and we started as an email security company. So literally just filtering emails and removing, you know, spam, info mail, and malware. And as time's gone on, those threats have become more sophisticated. So obviously, it makes sense that Hornet Security as a company would also evolve along with that threat landscape. Michelle mentioned a couple of our other services there too. So like our backup services and our security awareness service, and they really do complement each other because, you know, our email security service has a 99.99% detection rate. So it's really high, but nothing's kind of 100%. So should something come through, amazing. We've got backup services too. So you can roll back to the latest backup and restore from there. And then Michelle also mentioned our security awareness training service too. And, you know, that's really helping us to create a human firewall within the business as well and help people to meet their GDPR compliance. I'm not going to talk too much because I know Michelle's going to show some slides about the products and services as well. So I'll move on. So yeah, so it's kind of nice to talk about we mentioned before that we've got a real global presence and lots of staff members now. I think we're around 450 globally. So part of our team is our own in-house security lab team, and they are continuously assessing our services and the threats that come through and looking at ways that we can enhance our services to maintain our high detection rates and make sure that those threats or the companies that use our services are protected from those threats hitting their infrastructure. So we can see, like on an average day, that there are 33,000 new email-based threats, 13,000 ransomware attacks every hour, and then something that Neil mentioned, more sophisticated attacks. So these really sophisticated phishing emails. And I think these are important to mention because probably all of us will remember those really like silly emails that would come from Nigeria, for example, just literally asking people to deposit money, and people still got duped by those things. People still get duped by really simple things today as well. I'd hear our pre-sales guys talking about, you know, people really looking out for what's in an email, but as soon as that nice fluffy cat or kitten picture comes through, people are very eager to click, and you know, they're duped out and they're losing information. So yeah, so 361 more sophisticated threats coming through every single minute. You'll notice over on the right there as well that there's some nice bar charts and things. Our services do have nice statistics built within them as well. And I'm sure that when Michelle talks about the services later, she'll mention advanced threat protection and the stats that you can see behind that. So why do we do what we do? So Neil mentioned as well about email being the highest threat vector. We still see these type of threats coming through, and the number one threat there at the top of the list is phishing. So yeah, people are becoming more and more sophisticated with their approach. It's very easy to go to LinkedIn, find out who the CEO is, who the MD is, who the head of finance is, and target specific people within the business. So that kind of eliminates this culture within a business where people will talk across the team and say, oh, did you just see that email? Because not everybody's getting those threats coming through. They look very realistic. They look like they've come from your business colleague, and it's very easy to be duped out of losing that data or, you know, sending money.
Stephen, while we're at it, there's a question that came through with regard to email filters, obviously stopping legitimate mails coming through as spam or malicious, leading to false positives. And they're just asking how that can be overcome.
Well, our filters are really sophisticated, and we're filtering over 1 billion emails every month. So we have a high volume of users, and with our advanced threat protection service, we're looking for that's kind of where you would be more likely seeing a false positive. But we have lots of filters within there, and we also scan within a sandbox environment, and we're using heuristic filters. So we're looking at the emails, the links that are within them, and we're really looking at the behavior and the pages that goes to make a judgment call as to whether or not we think that that's a malicious attack or not. Sometimes you will get a false positive, but it's not really something that we get reported much, is it, Michelle? We never.
No, and pre-sales, we do have a pre-sales department that will help you once you start using the service. So you actually have lists that you can obviously add to, you know, addresses that are accepted and that type of thing. So, and we do have lists that will help with regards to that. But it's not, as Stephen said, it's not a massive thing that we generally come across.
What we kind of say about all of our services really is that we aim to. It's kind of like plug and play. It's very simple to get set up. Takes 60 seconds within our control panel. And people are, you know, they're covered, they're using our services. I'm going to stop talking more about the services. I really am, because I'm going to let Michelle do that. So yeah, we spoke earlier about the evolution of our services as well. So I just wanted to include something that kind of shows our services and how they're moving forward. So within our advanced threat protection service, that's the service that scans for more sophisticated threats. So those emails that have got links and attachments and they're trying to entice people to click. We've seen a huge increase of 154% of quishing attacks. And quishing is like phishing, but with QR codes. So these emails have got these QR codes where they're really trying to get somebody to scan it with their phone and go to the page, and obviously eventually there's malicious content. So we're scanning those, we're detecting those QR codes as well. Makes sense that we would also cover that. A lot of our marketing is focused around M365 users, and that's because we've seen an absolutely huge adoption rate globally of users utilizing M365 services. So the services that we've mentioned earlier, the email security, the backup, the security awareness, and we didn't cover compliance as well. These really do complement the M365 environment. We have some in-house stats where we see that 50% of businesses immediately recognize that they should have a third-party email security provider in place while they're using M365. And of the remaining 50%, 90% of those within 3 months would start to use a third-party email security filter because they start seeing a kind of an increase. Their detection rates are still high, but they do start to see an increase in these phishing emails and these spoof emails coming through. Okay, over to you, Michelle.
Okay, I think that's my cue there. So we're just going to have a look at some of the products that are available to help you basically, I guess, protect what you have and to be compliant with certain certifications within the industry. So what we've tried to do is make things as simple and as easy as possible. So we've grouped together a number of features in different plans depending on what your requirements are. The ultimate, which is obviously what we want everyone to use, is our plan 4. But we start with our plan 1. So these all sync in with the Microsoft tenancy. So the numbers will go up and down as your user count does. But our business is our lightest model. And that includes our core service, which is our spam and malware protection, plus encryption and our own version of email signature and disclaimer, which is great. So a lot of the time that you don't then have the need to use a separate product for that. So then we move up to our plan 2, which is also called our enterprise plan. And that's obviously the 3 services that I've just spoken about. But on top of that, we've got the big one here, which is the advanced threat protection, which Stephen obviously spoke about. I would say if you're just going to go down the road of spam and malware, which is the core products, you need to at least add the advanced threat protection on there. We do still have some sort of legacy customers that are just using spam and malware, but I guess with all the sophisticated threats out there, you really need to think about the advanced threat protection. On top of that, we have a great feature as well, which is our email archiving, which you can archive emails for up to 10 years, which is our default. You can obviously reduce that down as well. And we also have our email continuity. So if there is an outage with Microsoft, you can continue to receive and send emails and have access, obviously, to 3 months of those as well. We then go to currently one of our most popular plans, which is plan 3, or our Total Protection Enterprise Backup. So it includes all the features that I've just mentioned, but now we're stepping up a gear. So now we're going to include the 365 backup. So that's backup of your emails, contacts, calendars, OneDrive, SharePoint, and obviously the Teams chats as well. And it does also include storage, which is unlimited to our own data center. And for anyone that's based within Ireland, you can choose the data center that's within the EU, which will be in Germany. And for anyone that's based in the UK, we do have a data center in Reading as well. So, as I said, Plan 3 was our most popular, but we've just only because we've recently launched Plan 4. And Plan 4 is literally everything you could possibly need there. So everything that I've already spoken about, plus we have on there our security awareness service, which is an amazing product. We use it internally. So I get a good idea from an end user point of view how that is. Really, really good. Stephen mentioned that obviously people do click on links and do things, and there's all sorts of tricks out there to try and get you to do something. I have fallen for it myself, so nobody's perfect, but I did say, you know, I'm not going to fall for it again, and I've actually learned from that. So it's a brilliant product. We've also, whilst we mentioned acquisitions along the way, from the Altaro side, we were very much about creating our own products. And we just actually added and released 2 new products. The first one is what we call our Permission Manager product. So this is a product that's going to help you manage the permissions within OneDrive and SharePoint. So you can basically, if you think about people sharing documents and links, even externally, it can be a nightmare to know really what's out there. This product's there to help you manage those permissions to make sure you're not going against what the policy is. Really, really good product, and works extremely well for the larger companies as well. And then our newest is what we call our AI recipient validation. And I guess we've all been in the situation where we've clicked send on an email and we're like, oh no, I've sent it to the wrong Graham, for example, or I replied to all when I should have just replied to the sender. So what we have there is a product that it's not going to stop you sending the email, but it will pop up to give you that few seconds, I guess, just to think about if you actually want to send it. So those are our plans and the products that are included within there. We can go to the next slide, Stephen, which is going to talk about our plan 4, actually, which I've kind of gone into quite a lot of detail about. What I will say, it's really, really quick and easy to onboard. And then it's about obviously just setting the configurations within each of the products to your requirements. And obviously, Graham would help you to be able to do that. And there's a lot of features, I guess, that really are there for the end user. With the backup, you can have rights to be able to manage your own backups within there. You can have different rights. Security awareness service is very much an end user managed product. So you've got a really good overview within the control panel. There's one login where you get to see everything in one place. Really, really easy to manage. We can go into the next one.
I was just going to jump in actually, Michelle, and say, like, for me, what really stands out is from a GDPR compliance kind of point of view, that these services are really allowing businesses to tick all of the boxes when it comes to that compliance. They're demonstrating that they have all of, like, as many measures as possible in place to prevent a data breach from happening. And should that data breach happen, they're able to obviously prove that they've got many measures in place as well. And from a training perspective, like a lot of our customers, when they come on board, they love it that it's all one pane of glass, don't they? That they can, use all of these services in one control panel. They don't have to use. Often businesses are already using things like this, but they're perhaps using 5 different control panels, and they're having to train their staff members on how to use those 5 different control panels, which can become quite confusing. So it's kind of nice that it's all in one place.
Great. There's a question that's just come in now from Jonathan. I'm not 100% sure what's included in Microsoft E5 plan, but Stephen mentioned earlier we have the highest detection rates within the market. So you're going to have higher detection rates against obviously Microsoft. We also, I guess, we complement what Microsoft there. We're not sort of trying to say we're better than Microsoft, but we focus on the security, whereas Microsoft focus on the communication side of things. There's much more reporting available with our products as well, which is great with the advanced threat protection. And there's no limitations generally within language. We obviously scan in lots of different languages as well. Stephen, is there anything else you want to add with regards to Microsoft?
From an advanced threat protection point of view, we so Microsoft Scan, and their sandbox is a virtual Windows machine, whereas for us we have a virtual our sandbox is a virtual Windows, Android, and iOS environment. We use 50 different antivirus engines, Microsoft being one of them. And I've seen instances in the past where, because you can see within our service in the reporting, you can see when an email's been marked as malicious, which search engines detected that. Sometimes I'll see Microsoft has marked it as clean, but because we've got so many other different engines, you can see the others that have detected an issue and blocked that email from coming through. I also know, like, from an archiving perspective, our service is really quick. It's instant. You can, there's an Outlook plugin. You can very quickly search archived emails. With Microsoft, there seems to be a bit of a lag, or that's what I'm told by some customers, that it can take 15 minutes or so sometimes to find those emails. So we meant, like Michelle just said again, like we're here to like complement their services. They know that they need to have email security in place. It doesn't need to have the highest detection rate. Nobody's going to stop using Microsoft because of that. But if you remember the stats before, we know that businesses are using third-party email security services on top of Microsoft to enhance the service.
Great. Okay, so some of the customer pain points that you know, are highlighted to us. Things like feature limitations, if the service is not particularly reliable, or some of the services are ineffective. Also, things like non-automation and low usability for end customers as well, or too many tools. You know, sometimes to have things in different places, it can get confusing. You know, you're kind of not on top of it. Our products and our control panel makes it really easy to stay on top of what you have, and obviously to be able to look at obviously any reporting aspects of that as well. Okay, so as we've said, we're here to complement what Microsoft have. That is our focus, that our products and services will seamlessly integrate with 365. So there's no hardware, no software, no maintenance. It's really quick and easy, and everything is available in one place.
We should probably mention, actually, Michelle, because we've done the same. We've said that our marketing's all around M365 users. You don't actually have to be an M365 user in order to use our services. You can buy them individually. You can still set things up. It's still very quick. It's just that we've seen that huge adoption rate of M365 users, and that's why we're talking about our plans today that work alongside that.
And I think the important thing to remember there, I mentioned it earlier, the spammer malware is the core product. So you would start with that as your building block, and then you'd build on top of that the different services that you might need. So there's that flexibility if you're a non-365 user to use some of the other products. Obviously, the 365 backup wouldn't work for you, but the bundles that we put together that integrate are just there to make it even easier if you are a 365 user.
Mm-hmm.
I might just butt in for a second. We've had plenty of questions. I just want to say to people that it's not often we get a chance to talk to two senior people from a major manufacturer like this. You'd have to go to a show and then they'd be busy. So if anybody has questions, just throw them in there with anything that you like, any matter that you want to discuss or anything that you're interested in, because it is a sort of a unique opportunity to get questions answered by top people. So I'll leave it back to you guys. Okay,
so saying that, we had a question there that said, what procurement model do we use? Yes, we are channel-based, so we provide our services through distribution and through one of our trusted partners, like Graham, for example. But we're very transparent with our pricing and everything else, and we're there to obviously assist Graham as well. So the benefit of that is you also get his expertise as well as ours. So it's definitely worth doing that way. There's also a question here: to make a copy of a QR code could be increased cybercrime, malicious emails. Well, it's quite easy, I think, nowadays to actually generate a QR code. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that, Stephen.
What was the question? Sorry. So
it says to make a copy of a QR code could be, it's going to increase cybercrime, I think, is what they're saying. And yes, absolutely, which is why we've got this QR code analyzer built in within the advanced threat protection.
Yeah, we've got we haven't got the slide today, have we, Michelle? But we'll give a little secret away when we talk about our security awareness service. Sometimes we have the slide with security awareness and a QR code. And we like to do it on a face-to-face audience, really, but then people are just kind of obliged to scan the QR code and it pops up on their phone saying you've just been phished.
I'll tell you a little story about that. So I was, in fact, I think, Graham was definitely at one of these events. I recently visited Ireland, and I generally do an event in Northern Ireland in Belfast, and then last time we went to Waterford, actually, and we obviously presented, and we had this QR code, and I said to everyone, if you just want to scan that, it'll give you the slides and some information you need, and people obviously scan it, and when it went quiet, and I said, is everything okay? And certainly at one of the events, no one wanted to admit that they just scanned it and that obviously it popped up. But basically, yeah, Stephen's right. It is really quick. If someone tells you to scan something, people generally do it without thinking. So you could really be scanning anything. So. Okay, so some of the benefits, I think we've said this throughout the presentation, and I guess that's because it's very much sort of our culture. You know, we want things to be easy and to be easily be, you know, managed and supported. We want things to be user friendly, and we just want to have everything you could possibly need. You know, Stephen mentioned we do the services individually for non-365 users, or even, you know, for 365 users if you want. We bundle them together to make it even better, and generally pricing works out even better as well. Definitely it would be a good idea perhaps maybe to have a look yourselves and obviously see exactly what we mean. If we can go to the next slide, Stephen. Okay, so we mentioned obviously compliance and data security. We recently did a webinar, actually. It was called Compliance Mastery, and I had this light bulb moment. We had an expert talking about how complicated and how difficult that area is, you know, making sure you want to tick all the boxes, that you're doing everything to be compliant, and, you know, want to try and achieve your certifications. And it can just be, I mean, if you've ever read some of the documents that are put together by the EU, for example, there's just so much you need to think about, so much you need to do. And she was talking about, you know, data breaches, and invariably at some point, you know, there is going to be a data breach. Stephen mentioned earlier, you know, you can't stop anything 100%, but it's all about having in place things to try and mitigate, to try and stop these happening, or if it does happen, to try and recover it from as quickly as possible. And that's where our Plan 4 comes in. You know, it's got the full range of products that can help you protect your data, and if something does happen, can help you recover from that quickly and to reduce you know, the losses or the damage that might cause. And that was my light bulb moment. And I always thought, wow, the people that put these plans together, they must have so much foresight in seeing, you know, what's coming, what's a good awareness of what's coming in the, I guess, in the arena, you know, what threats are happening. Neil spoke earlier about all these different types of threats and what they expect to see. Well, quite recently looked at the global threat report, and they break it down into like a 2-year sort of what they're expecting within 2 years, and then what they're expecting in 10 years. And what I found quite I guess I was a bit surprised was that I think global sort of cybercrime appeared in both of those lists, but in the same place. And like you had, I think it was place 8 out of 10 if we look at the top 20. You had other things like cost of living. You had things like, you know, floods, that type of thing, climate thing. But cybercrime was there while the others kind of moved around. It was quite static. So it's something that we're saying, okay, it's here, it's now, it's happening. And we think, you know, for the next 10 years, it's going to be there as well. So it's all about having things in place that can protect you as much as possible and help you recover should something happen. I think. Stephen, anything you wanted to add to that?
I think as well, it's like, yeah, you're absolutely right. For like GDPR and compliance, it's essential that you have these services in place. But I think I personally, when I hear stories, like even the other day, somebody had approached us because they'd just transferred a large amount of money. They'd been tricked into sending it. And I think businesses these days need to kind of show that they're obligated really to protect their staff members as well. Nobody wants to be in that position where you're the person that's done that. So businesses having, you know, the email security, the backup, the security awareness, so you're training the staff members as well, I think in this day and age is essential. And you're right, those attacks are more sophisticated. Cybercrime is, you know, is there, and it's here to stay, and it's, you know, only going to get more and more sophisticated. So yeah.
I might butt in again, and oh, Michelle, I'll speak to this for just for a second, and I'll hand back to you, but I won't. I think we're getting towards the end, folks. So if you do want to, if you do want to ask any more questions, throw them in, because I'm conscious that we've consumed already quite a bit of your time, 45 minutes or so. We have a number of overseas visitors. We're very happy to deal with anybody. In fact, I have probably more customers overseas than I do in Ireland. It's just the way it is these days. So don't be afraid to engage on that level. I think Michelle's done an excellent job describing the product. One thing I want to make clear, this is an SAA, a SaaS product, and it is rented on a monthly or an annual basis. So the fees are spread out and very affordable. And but I think Michelle has a very interesting offer, and I certainly wouldn't want to steal her thunder. So I'm going to let you boast about this now, Michelle, and handing it to you now.
Okay, great. Okay, so what we'd like to do, if you would like to test our products, I would encourage you to test Plan 4. That's going to give you a good idea of all of those. On top of that, I'm going to mention that we do have our VM backup product as well, which is available on a monthly subscription, or you can buy perpetual licenses. But if you would like to test any of our products, we'll come to the next slide to show you how to do that. But we are offering an incentive. So if we get you set up to test, you will receive a €20 or £20 Amazon voucher. So that's something just to encourage you, if you may. And if we just go to the next slide, Stephen. So we've just kind of made it as easy as possible here. So if you want to pop in the question and answer box, and number 1, if you'd like to schedule an appointment with one of our experts, so we'll obviously be there with Graham to try and look at your requirements individually, and if necessary, we can also set up a demo to go into a bit more detail. Number 2, if you pop that in there, if you would like to have a free trial of Plan 4 or any of our services, if you pop a number 2 in the question box. And oh, great, already. So we already have one that would like to, which is great. And then a number 3, if you want us to let you know about any of our future webinars, be it with Hornet Security or with Be Secure Online as well, we can let you know about that as well. So I think that's just leaves me to say thank you very much for your time today. I hope it hasn't been too much confusing, or we explain things a bit better. But as I said, if you want to sort of maybe engage on a sort of one-to-one demo or anything like that, we can do that for you. So I think that's it from me. Stephen, do you want to say anything?
No, just thanks again from us at Hornet Security. Really pleased that you've spent your time listening to us today. Hopefully it was interesting, and yeah, it's nice to see those numbers popping in already for the free trial. So Michelle mentioned on the number 1 that it was to get in touch with us so that one of our guys can help assist. So yeah, we're always eager to make sure that people have a great onboarding experience. So we're happy to help as much as possible.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. To finish up and to follow that up properly. Actually, Michelle, just before I do that, Jonathan Flack has asked a great question. Actually, Stephen, you might answer this. Does the product, and we might be quick about this, integrate with any AV solutions, and what does that landscape look like? You might just quickly answer that.
Integrate with antivirus solutions?
Yep.
Well, we can be utilized along antivirus solutions. We don't have an integration, but there's nothing stopping. Obviously, our users would also have antivirus services as well. Okay. And to finish, those of you who are interested in progressing, if you could directly email info@besecureonline.co.uk, info@besecureonline, and we will get in touch and arrange your free trials. I'm glad to say the free trials are very easy to set up, so it'll be painless and it'll be quick, and we will definitely have the assistance of Michelle and Stephen Simons in that. I won't enable chat any further, other than to say it is 10:48, so almost like the great Irish DJ Larry Grogan, who never crashed the vocals. I think we're going to bow out early here and say thank you very much. We haven't crashed the vocals. We haven't overstayed our welcome. We have presented one of the best email security systems available in the market. It's suitable for all sizes, from 5 to 50,000 users, and I think that's important. And it very nicely syncs in with all of the best and most used technology out there, particularly Microsoft 365. So with that, thank you very much to everybody, especially to Neil, who did a great talk, and to my co-presenters from Hornet Security. With that, and there is a recording and it will be sent out. There will be links available, because we've had a lot of requests over WhatsApp and LinkedIn to make sure that they get sent on. And so with that, I'm going to say thank you and good morning to everybody.
and I'm going to hit the end button, and that went very well. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. info@besecureonline.co.uk. info@besecureonline.co.uk. Thank you.